All right, that public service announcement of stay hydrated out there, and at ironinfidel.com we can help you out with the battle bottle. We've got the smaller ones, we've got the larger ones. It's everything you need, and if you use code TAC10, TAC10, that'll save you 10%. You've got the carry handle, key hanger, cell phone pocket, molly on this, ton of different designs, screw top or the sippy top cop, should you prefer that one. But even though we're in the cooler months, you've got to stay healthy and you've got to stay hydrated. You can also get fitness equipment, whether it's workout bands or whatever you're looking for. Check ironinfidel.com out. On with the video. All right, everybody, welcome back to Iron Infidel. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart and probably many of yours as well, and that is how to choose a hard use or a duty style rifle so you know you're going to get the maximum in performance and reliability. And for example, today I have brought out my BCM Recce 14.5. So it's a 14.5-inch barrel with a pin and welded muzzle device, making it 16 inches overall in length. Now, depending on what your budget is, something like this BCM could be a little bit pricey, coming in anywhere from $1,500 to maybe $1,700, depending on where you can find it out. But there are a lot of other brands out there. So this isn't going to be about a specific brand. I'm just going to kind of give you some pointers on the specs that you should look for in a duty style rifle. And it's going to be things like the hard metals, the things you want to pay attention to, the gas system, the bolt and carry group, the barrel, all those main components that are really going to separate a budget rifle that maybe doesn't have the best stuff to something that might be a hidden gem and have really good parts, but maybe not the best furniture. Now let's start off with those hard parts. And by hard parts, I'm going to talk about the receiver set, bolt and carrier, barrel, muzzle device, all of those metal items in there that you're going to want to look for. And then we'll get into the other bits and pieces. So let's start off with the receiver group. Okay, the upper and lower receiver. There are a lot of different materials out there. You have billet material sets. You have 60-61, 70-75. 70-75 is the harder. 60-61 will get it done. And billet is where you start to see all that nice machine work, maybe some ambi controls and things like that, but it's also very well proven. So the 70-75 is going to be the toughest out there, but the other ones will still get the job done. So like the BCM here, you can see this is a forged receiver set. So it has the basic mil-spec style controls in it. And overall, that's gonna get pretty much everything done that you're gonna need. Now, inside of that upper receiver, you are going to have that bolt and carrier group right there. And that is extremely important because that is a part that fails on budget or cheap rifles a lot. So when it comes to that bolt and carrier group, there's a couple of materials you're gonna wanna look for. You're gonna want that carrier to be made out of 9310 or 8620. And if possible, that actual bolt itself, the part that locks in, which is right there where it's got the teeth on it, Carpenter 158 or 9310, a really good solid steel there because that's gonna get a lot of pressure input on it. It's gonna lock into the lugs of the barrel. And overall, that thing is gonna have to take a beating because the gas system is pushing gas in there and it's throwing that bolt back and forth and it's just mashing into the barrel extension up there, causing a lot of wear and tear. So you've got to make sure that that is in line. Next up, the barrel. Okay, there are a lot of different barrel materials out there. You can have 416R stainless, which is known for being a little bit more accurate. There are other types of stainless steel that are a little bit more accurate and a little bit more life-giving. But overall, 416, if it's nitride coated or something like that, is going to give you a good barrel life, maybe 10 to 15,000 rounds before it starts to open up or spread out that group a little bit. But it's going to give you better accuracy. When it comes to something like this, it's going to be a 4150 chromoly vanadium barrel. So that is the machine gun grade steel. It may not be as accurate, but on a rifle like this, we're probably looking for life durability. It's not going to be a precision setup, but it's still going to be as probably accurate as 90% of you out there. But it's going to give you an extreme life when it comes to a barrel like this. Now, the 4150 chromoly vanadium is probably the best stuff. You can get chrome line versions, which extend that life even longer. There's 4140, but overall, an industry standard, you're going to see mostly probably 4150 chromoly vanadium and 416R stainless steel, whether it's raw steel in the stainless look, that silver look, or whether it's a nitride coated. Either of those is going to get the job done. You just have to differentiate on whether you want ultimate in accuracy or a lot more longevity before you have to swap out that barrel. And then of course, let's talk about the rail on here. So BCM makes some amazing rails. Now, if you want to build your own setup, you can buy whichever rail you get. But when it comes to a rail, there's a couple things you're going to want to look for. One, you want to make sure you can attach your accessories to it, whether it's a quad rail, whether it's Picatinny on all four sides or whatever, whether it's M-LOK like this version, or whether it's key mod or some variation of both of those or all of them. Whatever you are into, it's out there. But you want to make sure it's made out of at least 60-61 aluminum. You want to make sure that it's got plenty of attachment points so you can put your light on top, whatever type of stuff you want to run as far as hand stops, rail covers, QD attachments for that sling. But you also want to make sure that it affixes with a very solid method, some kind of cross bolt design like this one has, so it's not going to slide around or slide forward. And also, it must have some form of anti-rotation, whether it sleeves over the upper receiver or whether it's built into the barrel nut. You do not want that rail twisting and turning on you. So you've got to make sure that anti-rotation is built into your rail somewhere, because especially if you are running a laser device or something on there and that rail starts to turn, your zero is going to be way off. But there are ways to cheat and kind of get around that. If you got a cheaper rail, you can put some form of attachment up here, whether it's a, some kind of an optic mount or something, or just a piece of pick rail right there over the front of that, and that will lock the rail to the upper receiver. That's kind of the cheap man's way of tightening up a rifle, but that can be done as well. And then something that is just nice to have is a good muzzle device, okay, to finish that off. A bird cage will do you just fine, but when you have a nicer muzzle device, it's going to make the shooting experience just a little bit better, maybe a little less flash, maybe a little bit more controllability. So that is something that can help. Now let's talk about some things that aren't necessities when it comes to the durability and longevity of that, but are just maybe nice things to look for if they're in your price point. Some of those nice things to look for are going to be the furniture. So you can see here, I have the BCM stock on here. They've got a bunch of different variations. BCM grip, because I bought this as a BCM rifle. I've got an irregular defense cheek riser. That is so as I'm in position, right, my cheek is in the right spot because I'm running a higher optic. But furniture is great. I love Magpul, I love BCM, I love B5 systems. Those are my favorites. But these things are nice to have. If your rifle didn't have it, you can upgrade these later, but they're definitely nice to get up front. And having a pistol grip here that has a more neutral angle, so when you grab it, it feels more natural than one that is very much more so arced back, that is a huge help. Now, if you have the opportunity to put on, say, a hand stop and a barricade stop, or if your rifle comes with those are nice things to have, okay? Some other nice things to look for would be an ambidextrous charging handle. Now, the one that came on this BCM is not ambidextrous, but you can buy ambi versions that are pretty good for as low as like 45, 50 bucks sometimes. One of the biggest things that people are going to like to upgrade is the trigger. So mil-spec triggers just kind of suck. They get you done, but you can get all kinds of great triggers. Think Blackout Defense, Rise Armament if you're on a budget for like 100, 110 bucks, CMC, but even upgraded kind of mil-spec trigger like BCM does, or a couple of other companies like ALG, or you can get into the expensive stuff again like the Blackout Defense or the Geisley triggers. But those are nice upgrades to look for in a rifle. Now, this is where things can get really interesting, because brand and reputation, right? There are people out there that will say, just go buy this brand, just go buy that brand, whether it's BCM or Daniel Defense or Aero Precision or whatever. And yes, there is something to be said for brand reputation and proven reliability out there in the world, but more so important than that is you have to proof and test this yourself. I've had Daniel Defense guns fail on me. I've had Knight's Armament guns maybe not perform the best. There are videos out there on these things. So brand reputation is not always the only thing to look for. The most important part is that you take this thing out and you run it how you want to run it with all of your equipment, your optics, run it with different magazines, different ammunition types, and proof this thing out for yourself. You could have a $3,000 rifle that doesn't run, that's going to do you no good, or you can have a $1,000 to $1,500 rifle that'll run pretty much any ammunition you put in it with any magazine you put in it, and you're going to be far better off. But you will not know that if you don't go out and proof your own gear. Now, I hope that helped some of you out because these are big decisions to make. Not everybody can afford something like this BCM or a Daniel Defense or things like that, but hopefully I've kind of given you an idea of these specs to look for when it comes to the barrel, the upper lower receiver material, the bolt and carrier material. Those are the things that are going to matter. When it comes to the furniture and all that stuff, you can replace all of those things down the road, but the heart and lungs of that rifle have to be good. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Iron Infidel channel. Keep doing it on the range, and I'll see you guys on the next one.